Hello and welcome back to Choice Bits of Bliss. Today we're going to do a process video using Simple Vintage Spring Garden. If you watched my video where I did a kit dive, you've already seen these photos and you've seen this kit. I've added in some more elements to play with. And I've already added some foam tape to the back of my title so that, just getting a little bit of the fussy work completed. So these are some things that I think I definitely will use, and then I have added some things over here to the side that are maybes. I don't know if you follow Sarah Davies or not, but if you don't, that is definitely a channel that is worth your time to watch. She does a lot of strips. That's kind of her go-to design. And her layouts are frequently linear. I love them. I love how they look. I love how they turn out. She plays with mixed media quite a bit. And I don't know that I will get into the mixed media, but I'm definitely leaning toward a linear vertical layout. I don't have a sketch. I just had watched one of her videos and I thought, you know what? I've got all these scraps. Let's use them in that manner. So when I started pulling in my scraps, I definitely wanted to use this design. I think it's gorgeous. It is so cute. But then I started noticing that the back side really isn't, if you're not paying attention, it's not hugely winter thematic. So this is from Crate Paper. The collection is Snowflake. Definitely from a winter collection. But I think if you layer it such, you're really not going to notice that there's holly leaves and all of that. And especially if you turn it this way, I'm going to layer it. There's no holly leaves. There's not any holly leaves showing at all. It's just this kind of flora design. Okay. Now, I added in an additional piece of paper because you know how I love to mat a layout. So then I was thinking I would layer my mat like this. It really just doesn't sing. It doesn't have that pop that I want it to have. So I decided to bring in this piece of ledger. It's from Heidi Swap. And layer it. And it adds that subtle difference, that contrast that I want. So I really liked that. I had also played with the idea of doing this, and it was too much. It was too dark. I didn't like it. So that is kind of the progression of my thought process. The next thing that I was thinking is that I don't want so much of the blue showing. I just want touches of it. So when I'm trimming my paper, I'm going to be trimming from this side so that I'm cutting away that blue. And then I'm going to mat on this. And then I'm going to do some punching on this because I want a notebook edge punched out of this. So I'm going to be cutting into all 4 pieces of paper, or using all 4 pieces of paper, because I'm going to be using this ledger, this gorgeous ledger, as my background. So let's just start trimming. Now I always look at my branding strip to see if that is something that I want to use, and on that one it is not. I'm going to trim off a 1/2 inch and just making sure that it is straight. And see, that takes away a chunk of that blue. I don't think that I will be using that in any manner. I also need to trim off a 1/2 inch from the bottom. And you know what? I'm going to leave this, and I'm going to take some more of that blue from the top. And let's do a 1/2 inch from there. Because this pink just creates a subtle contrast, I'm going to ink around the edges of my base. I'm getting out my trusty little Stampin' Up pad. This is the only Stampin' Up ink pad that I have. That's not true. Samantha gave me some mini pads. So I do have a lot of the colors in mini pads. And I apologize if that isn't an annoying noise. Say that 3 times fast. So it doesn't take a lot of time. I'm just dusting the edges. I'm not trying to create a massive difference. I just want, you know, we're playing into those subtle tones. And I don't want to go, you know, real far into the paper pattern. I just want to grab the edges. But once I lay this back down, you'll be able to see the difference. And I love how that just makes that stand out. So let's go ahead and adhere that one. One of the things that I love about making these plans and doing these kit dives is that it prepares me to work when I have a little bit of time. And once I have my workflow, once I have an idea of what I'm going to do, it doesn't take me very long to put things together. So that is to my benefit with the lifestyle that I have. I'm going to trim some of these out to use on my clusters. But let's start building our strips. So I don't want these to be I don't want them to be all the same size. I want them to kind of cascade down. And I'm going to cut off, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of an inch. Maybe that's 3/4. Because I want it to be shorter. I don't want it to be exact than my base. And it is just a tad shorter. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere that down. And now I'm doubting myself. Now I'm thinking, since I have that blue there, maybe I need this to contrast with it. And then this. I do. I think that's what I need. So let's trim this one down. And that means I need to trim my floral one a little more. So that is what I want there. I want that maybe here. So yeah, I need to trim that down just a smidgen. I've already got adhesive on it, so I need to be mindful of that. I definitely don't want to lay it back on the trimmer. So I want that burgundy strip to show, that burgundy stripe. And as I'm laying that down, I had pulled out this stamp because I want the texture of it coming around the edge of my photo mat. So I'm going to grab a pencil. And at the moment, I have forgotten where I've placed my pencils. Here we go. I was about to blame my husband because I do remember loaning him a pencil. And I'm just going to do a light mark here and here, just so that I know where my mat is going to be when I do my stamping. And I know that my marks are at the bottom and top edge of my mat. So I'm going to grab some ink, and then we're going to do some stamping. I don't want my, I'm using charcoal from My Mind's Eye. I don't want this to be black. I don't want that dark contrast. I just want, you know, we're playing in those subtle tones, and I'm getting ink all over my hand. There's probably a better way to do this. So a lot of that's going to be covered up because of my photo mat, but that is okay. And I need another down this way. That's perfect. You hear my floor squeaking. I have everything staged around me. My ink is behind me in the cubbies that I have, so that it's really easy for me to grab things and go. So I like that. I like that it's showing, peeking out there a little bit. I want to bring this paper in because I want that edge. I want that notebook edge. So I'm going to trim this to 11.5. First, I'm going to get a good chunk of it. I'm going to get about 1 inch. And I'm going to trim that down to 11.5. It's going to be the same height as my base. And then we're going to make a notebook edge on that. And I'm going to tuck it under here. So if you noticed how I did my adhesive, this is why. I didn't want to, so I'm going to just hide even more of that blue. So give me a second. I'm going to grab my punch. This is an EK Success. It is old, but it's got the round notebook edge instead of the squared. And I'm just eyeballing it kind of to see where the middle is. That's supposed to help you get an even punch. Sometimes it works out for me and sometimes it doesn't. And it's because it's my own fault. It's because I eyeball everything. I have the tools, I have the rulers, I have the things, but do I use them? No, I do not. Okay, we've got our notebook edge. So it really is not taking very much time to build this because I already had an idea in mind of what I wanted. And then I'm just going to, I like the texture of just kind of ruffling these up a little bit. I'm just picking up every one or two. Okay, so that has become, we're getting to where I want to be, for sure. I have a doily that I want to bring in. So I have a skip in my stamp here, and I'm just going to cover that up with a doily. And now we're ready to put our photo down. I say this over and over. Once I have created my base with no, I love embellishments. I love them. But when I'm just looking at my layout, I'm okay if this is all I have. I am. But we can't, you know, I've got all of this stuff, so I need to use it. Now, Charlie is super happy in this photo. She looked like she was smiling as she was napping, and I was taking photos of her. Well, she realized I was taking photos of her, and she turns over and starts doing this cheesy little grin. So she's a ham, that's for sure. She's a handful, too. So I thought we could use the words "Hello, Happy" for my title. I'm going to ink the edges of this just a little bit. Just a light brush, not going into every little crevice. Just a touch. And if you didn't know that I was doing this, you wouldn't be able to really pull it out and say, hey, she inked her edges. But it just adds a little something more. And I'm going to use those P's on each side of her ear, like that. It's just looking really cute. Okay, I said I was going to trim out a few of these, and I'm going to do that portion off camera. I think maybe 3 will be enough. And I have these layered embellishments to add in. And I pulled out a couple. This is too bright. This pink right here is too bright. And I don't want to see that at all. So if I use this, I really just only want to see the doily portion, not the pink. Not that bright pink. And I don't know that there's a way for me to position it to make that happen. So we're not going to use that. We have layered chipboard that I had pulled out, and I believe there's a couple of pieces that I can use here. We'll use that one. I don't want to see the spring because it is definitely not springtime in this photo, and you know how literal minded I am. So I'm using my title as my first cluster, and then I'm going to move around to these clusters. Okay, let me trim out those cameras and I'll be right back. Okay, that didn't take long, and I'm not certain that the cameras really add anything significant to the layout. So I'm going to leave them in there because of her little black nose. I'm just going to leave them in there. They're done. I've done the work. They're not hurting anything. And that pretty much is my philosophy. Even if it doesn't necessarily add so much, they're not hurting anything. So now I'm looking at this bottom one, and the flower is covered mostly. I definitely want to add more florals, I think. Something went awry there when I... So yeah, I want that to be a little wonky, and then I'm going to add that there, and then I'm going to add some more florals around that. Okay, so we've got that done. I have, let's see, I have some floral clusters here. I could actually add that on top of there. I like that. I don't want to use the blue. I like that. I think that's what I'm going to use. Just going to make this my largest cluster. I love daisies. A Gerbera daisy is my absolute favorite flower. Okay, I'm liking that. I need something right there. So let's see what else we have. I'm going to use a butterfly. So now we have 3 butterflies. There's not a lot for me to journal about this. It's just my dorky dog. But that is this layout completed. I'm happy with it. I do have these enamel dots. I completely forget about enamel dots. Let's throw some on there just because we have them. And what colors do we want? I think I want green down here. Let's just stick with the green. There we go. I get credit for using enamel dots. All right, friends, that's it. Come back. We will chat again soon. Bye-bye.